Well, that last leap did a number on me. So I just watched episode 6 of Quantum Leap. What a disaster. Awful name. Um, it was all about the 1989 earthquake in San Francisco and Oakland and all that. And um, it was fairly good. They did a fairly good job of recreating the earthquake, and the damage didn't look cheap. Looked like they spent some money on it. Um, but what was more interesting was the sort of um, personal story with um, Ben, and I keep thinking his name is Benjamin Law, because we have a comedian in Australia called Benjamin Law, and the actor's name is Raymond Lee, and I keep getting those names confused and then getting that confused with the name of the character. So if I do that, that's why I keep doing that. Okay, so Raymond Lee's character, Ben Song, didn't. Well, both his parents had passed. His dad had left. He lived with his mother. His mother brought him to the US when he was 9 because he was a genius and she wanted him to achieve something. He resented leaving his friends and leaving his home and being in America. So he deliberately tanked his marks and came home with B's because you know what Asian tiger mothers are like with the bees. So she was not happy. That a huge fight. He got angry with her, left, came home. She'd had a brain hemorrhage and died. So he never really got past that, and that did push him to become the scientist that he was and all that. But he was living with that regret, and as someone whose mother died when I didn't have a chance to say goodbye to her and that, and there were a lot of things we had to talk about, and I was planning to see her on the Tuesday. She died on the Sunday, and so I was really feeling the regret. I didn't have the same regret. I didn't fight with her. We didn't end on bad terms last time I saw her or anything like that, but there were things we needed to talk about, and there is that regret because I could have gone home sooner than I did. But I went back at Christmas like normal, blah blah blah. So I was having my own sort of issues during the episode, and the characters are having the same issues because he leaps back into a father who's being divorced by his wife. They moved their son. Their son wasn't happy. Their son ran away. Basically, when he found out they were having the divorce, the earthquake happened, and he died going into his old home. So he has to get there and stop the kid from going into the house. He goes in to rescue a guy. The guy, the guy gets out, but he gets pinned under a beam. The son comes in. They both get him out. He takes him, and I'm guessing the real father wanted the kid to take sides or something, because he basically has him go talk to his mother. They make up, and then he ends up being some sort of engineer and doing great things from the world in regards to, I think, like earthquakes and earthquake-proof buildings and stuff like that. And that's their story. But there is a moment which doesn't make any sense at the end where he's like, it's 1989, my mum is still alive. The phone started up because everything was like out because of the earthquake, but the phones came on, and he said, I can still call her. He couldn't remember the number. And Addison gives it to him. She wasn't going to initially. She's like, we can't do that. I'm like, why? He's changing the future every leap. He's changing the past and changing the future every leap, but he can't call his mum? What the hell? So she does give him the number, and he calls, and he hears her voice, but then he leaps just before he can really say anything other than mum. Or mom. So it was a fairly emotional episode. The actor is really good. I sort of wasn't really expecting it. I don't know, because the old the old Quantum Leap characters, I don't think they had any moments like this. I don't think they delve into their personal lives in the show. Although I've only seen 2 seasons. The first season, which is only 9 episodes, and the 4th season, then 1 episode of the 5th season. So I can't be sure, but a lot of people are criticising the show for spending too much time with the other characters. I was feeling that, but I was feeling them this episode because they're trying to work out who Leaper X is, which is, they found him. He's a guy called Richard Martinez. He's a very committed little soldier who is on leave at the moment, but it doesn't look like he's done this. It looks like he does it in the future. So he leaps in the future and goes back into their past. So What does that mean? Does that mean they failed and he's part of a mission to fix it, or is it a mission to sabotage them, or what is it? Blah, blah, blah. He thinks, oh, just wait, he thinks Ben's looking for him. Oh, I just worked out that, I have no idea what's happening now. Because I was thinking, he followed Ben. I'm like, he thinks Ben's followed him. So why does he not know that Ben went in the past if he's from the future? And he's going, well, I guess they didn't tell him. I guess he only knew so much. We know more than him. I don't know what's happening. But it was a good episode. Like I said, they spent a bit of money on the earthquake, and it all looked authentic. There was a couple of parts that didn't work. They played some really bad, 80s music during some real footage of the earthquake. And I thought, they must be in a bar or something. But then they're just on the street, and I'm like, why did that music it didn't work at all? It wasn't of the period in that sense that it made you feel like, it's 1989. It just didn't feel right. And there's also a scene where they're running to the wife and the husband are running to, because nothing's running, so they have to literally run through a tunnel to get across the bay to get to their son. And they go to run off, and then they go to a scene with Jen and Magic, who go to speak to the soldier. And then they go to them running again, and they encounter two women trapped in a car. He saves them, but the wife gets electrocuted and has to go to the hospital, and he has to go on his own. Why they didn't continue that scene on, that tension, that, because it was a good scene, then it just ended. And then it went to this scene, and then he runs off, and there's a big gap, and then he's in a tunnel later, and Addison's talking to him, why they didn't put the scene with Martinez after that long scene, which would have worked really well together and kept that tension going, and then had the little break, and then had him come back, and he's in the tunnel after he's been running, because she's saying, okay, you can't keep running because the guy you jumped into hasn't exercised for years, you're thinking you're you, so you had to have a break. And that's when he talks to her and tells her about all the stuff with his mother, because she was actually saying, and it's part of the character, that he's very vulnerable because he's remembering all this stuff, but he obviously doesn't have all the defenses he built up in his personality, because he doesn't really remember who he is. So I guess that's part of amnesia, where you sort of know who you are but you don't, and you're sort of not who you are. So any issues you have, or protection devices or whatever you've built up as that personality, you probably don't have. It sort of strips you of your personality in some ways. So she's saying, I'm falling more in love with him because he's more vulnerable, more open than he was. When I was with him, he was guarded and he was a mystery. So that was all very interesting, character building wise and all that. But I can't see how long I've been talking. Okay, 7 minutes. I should stop talking. Wow, it's really raining outside. We're having flooding in Australia, and I heard it was going to keep going into Monday, Sunday, Monday. It's Wednesday, and it's still raining, and it was raining really heavy yesterday, and raining really heavy now. You can probably hear it. But I'm going to go. This episode was really good. I'm really enjoying the show. I'm feeling better about them spending as much time with the other characters, because I guess I'm just getting into their stories and that. And the interaction between Magic and the other characters is good. They're building on them, so you're sort of getting attached to a family of characters, not just Ben and Addison, because I don't find Addison that interesting, so I find some of the other characters a bit more interesting. So I think overall, long term for the show, it probably will work to have these other characters and explore their stories, so long as we keep the centre on the leap of the week and where they are in that. But yep, I'm gonna go. Feel free to share, comment, subscribe. Did I already say that? I don't know. I have the worst headache and I feel sick. I slept about 45 minutes yesterday, so I'm paying for it today. I have insomnia, so I don't know if I've done a good job of reviewing this, but I'm just glad to have one show I like at the moment, because I'm not totally enjoying Lower Decks. I'm enjoying it a bit, but there's really just this, and all the other shows I was watching I wasn't happy with. They just ended. Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, they both had issues. This show, I'm just enjoying it. There's really no issues. The things I commented on were little nitpick things. And the only other show I've enjoyed recently was And Just Like That, which isn't coming back until next year. So I'm glad to have this show. I'm enjoying looking at it, watching it, reviewing it. And yep, I'm going to go.